I mean, I might say cool things or bad things every 3 words, and if we all clap, we're not going to get that many questions. Okay? So, but I am. This is somebody who believes in what I ran for Congress for eight years ago. Number one, the overarching theme of Americanism, that we're special, that we're exceptional, that we're free because of the men and women who fight for us, because of the God that we believe in. We are a free nation, and that's what makes Trump so special. Is he's, you know, Trump believes in Americanism, and that's what binds us together right now. So, number one, what Trump's going to bring is a secure border. We're going to finally have a secure border. We're lucky here in San Diego because we already have a double border fence, right? That neither President Bush nor President Clinton wanted to build, and that my dad built when he was a congressman with earmarks. The whole fence here in San Diego is earmarked. We basically have zero illegal immigration through San Diego. Zero. Because of the double border fence. Over the last 8 years, you haven't even had to jump the fence. Over the last 8 years, you simply walk up to an ICE agent and say, I'd like to come into America, and the ICE agent says, come on in. That was the Obama policy. You didn't even have to jump the fence. So, and number one, when I talked with Trump about 2.5, 3 weeks ago. And I said, President Trump, you got to come to San Diego and see the fence that works. He turned to me and said, no fence. It's got to be a wall. I said, okay, call it what you want, and we're going to build something. So we're going to secure the border. We've already started deporting illegal aliens that have committed any kind of crime whatsoever. That's what Trump has already started doing with his administration. Just yesterday, and along these same lines, the Department of Justice is full of people that were sympathetic to the Obama administration and their policies of any kind of immigrants coming in, whether they're criminals or not, coming across the border. Jeff Sessions got rid of all of them. Jeff Sessions got rid of every single U.S. attorney that was appointed by the Obama administration. Amen. So we're going to have a secure border. We're going to deport people that are not here legally. Number two, we're going to grow the U.S. economy by doing a very simple thing. 2 simple things. Buy an American and hire an American. We've talked about this many times. It's time that we as Americans realize that if you buy U.S. goods and you have U.S. manufacturing, you're putting your neighbors, your brothers, and your sisters to work. If you pay $5 more for a hammer that's made in the U.S., you're putting your family and friends to work. Trump believes in that. And we're going to work hard to make sure that we buy American, we hire American. And Trump's already doing that. I'm going fast here. I'm only making 3 or 4 points, and I'll take questions. Number 3. You know, my original plan was to play "We Are the Champions" by Queen whenever you guys start doing that. They told me not to. Number 3, we're going to revise the U.S. tax code so you can fill it out, hopefully on a postcard, and send it in. We have the highest corporate taxes in the world. We have high income tax. We're going to make America competitive again, so that companies come back to the U.S. and start hiring American people. And just Trump being elected has already changed this. Just Trump being in office has made companies come back to the U.S. and hire American workers. We're going to reform the tax code. And 2 last things. We're going to repeal Obamacare. Thank God. We're going to repeal this. See this? We're going to repeal it. It's funny, We don't want the government telling us how our kids should be taught in school, the federal government. We don't want the federal government telling us what our kids should be taught in school, where they should go, what the school size should be. That's for us to decide. We are a free, individual, responsible people. You don't want the government telling us where our health care is coming from, what it has to entail, and what it has to cost. Because frankly, Obamacare is destroying itself. Everybody's health care costs have gone up. Everybody's. Whether you like Obamacare or not, it's gone up. People have lost their doctors after Obamacare. It is failing. If we let Obamacare go, we will have no health care system here left. So the key is to save this country and save health care by giving it back to the people and the doctors that need it. Lastly, I actually can't understand what you're saying. I can't understand what you're chanting. Lastly, the only reason that we're here and we're able to do this right now is because we have a strong U.S. military and we've had one for a few hundred years. That's the only reason we're even in this room talking. Trump's going to build the military back up. North Korea is not going away. Iran's going to have nuclear weapons. Russia's not going away. China's not going away. And ISIS and Al-Qaeda, they're not going away. We've had 8 years of cutting the military. We've had 8 years of doing more and more and more with less and less and less, and it's breaking the military. We're going to make the military strong again. We're going to make the military great again, and we're going to make sure that we can have a democracy like this for decades to come. So I think I just made 5 points. That's all I make, 5 points, and the rest of this will be back and forth. Hopefully a nice conversational style with due respect on each side. I'm going to respect you, and I hope that you would do the same for me. So with that, let's shake up the buckets.
Somebody threw the bucket out.
Herb Zapoya, come on up. Dale Timblin, come on up. Rosalind Morales, come on up, right here with me. Thank you.
Semper Fi, thanks for your service too. He's got a Semper Fi hat on.
First, I want to thank you for resubmitting Marine Corps Sergeant Rafael Peralta Medal of Honor application. My question is there a way possible to make some kind of federal identification for veterans, especially those who look like us? Because I am documented, but I'm still afraid of being profiled. Is there a way that maybe the VA system already issues out an identification card? I know the state of California started, printing veterans. If we submit our DD 214 to the DMV and we get our driver's license reissued, is there a way to do something like that? Because again, I'm afraid of being a brown man in this country being stopped. I've been stopped before when I'm down in the Cleveland National Forest hiking or camping. I can't even enjoy my own outdoors in the back of my own county because I'm profiled and detained by Border Patrol. We're paying all this ridiculous amount of taxes to the Department of Homeland Security, a huge bureaucracy, and they cannot just check my documents real quick and let me be on my way. Why do I have to be stopped and be?
So to answer your, thank you. So first thing, Rafael Peralta was from Mexico, joined the U.S. Marine Corps when he turned 18, was nominated for the Medal of Honor, went all the way up through the ranks and got stopped by the Pentagon bureaucracy. We put his nomination back in. Now that General Mattis is Secretary of Defense, General Mattis was there on the ground when Peralta got hit and killed. we're almost positive that he's going to get the medal line. We're going to work that hard. Okay, number one.
Answer the question. Don't waste time. Shut up.
He was a green card holder immigrant, is what he said Peralta was. And I think that's a great way for people to come into this country, become Americans, learn patriotism, and then become citizens. Number two, the answer to his second question is nobody should be profiled for the way that they look at all. So here's what you got to do. The answer isn't to accept the premise that because you look different, you expect to be profiled, because that gives into them saying that they can profile you, but here's my new federal identification. The way to do this is to fix it so you don't get profiled at all, and profiling is illegal. They can't just pull you over for the way that you look, period. So the answer is no. So here's the answer. The answer is no. I don't think that people that look different, and by the way, I mean, people that look different than what? Americans look like Americans. And so the answer is no. I don't think that you should have to have a special federal identification just because you say because you're brown or you're black or you're yellow or you're any other color. You shouldn't have to have I'm answering. You should not have to have a special federal identification because of the way that you look. You're an American. You're gonna be treated like an American.
It's all in-house domestic prescription drugs that have been brought over from opium fields in Afghanistan. It's not like, we're legalizing marijuana for a new tax revenue to protect our economy after dictating drug policy to Latin America for 30 years and so many people dying as collateral damage. Why can't we just address the facts for what they are? The drug epidemic is domestic, it's homegrown, prescription opiates.
Because it's made by this pharmaceutical company. They are his bosses.
And I don't think it was a pre-canned question. Where's Tommy Marquez at? Where are you, Tommy? Here, come out. Hey, Tommy works for me, Navy SEAL boat driver for a long time. Tommy's Mexican. You can't tell by looking at him.
No.
Okay? But a great American. And if Tommy gets profiled by the cops, then they're in the wrong, and they ought to be gone after. Right? It's not about him getting a special identification. Thanks, Tommy. Thanks that Tommy came out for my prop.
Is Rosalind Morales here or Dale Timblin? I have your questions.
And sir, once again, thanks for your service and your question.
Ann Edgerton. Ann Edgerton. She here?
So Tommy, by the way, said that there is a VA identification card that you can get, that you have, and I've got mine on my bag outside. Tommy's going to give you his card. We're here to help.
Terry Groth.
Sign up, you get free medicine.
Terry Groth.
He's missing his benefits.
Nicholas Klein. Nicholas Klein.
By the way, we're going to do more of these. We are. I mean, we have had a very busy 2 months. We've had a very busy 2 months making America great again. And it's,
How about Michelle Shine? Michelle Shine? Hi, Michelle.
My name is Michelle Shue, actually.
Hi, Michelle.
Will you oppose bills to dismantle the DPA and removal of Environmental Protection Acts?
Will I oppose bills that dismantle the EPA? No. In fact, we've already voted a bunch to try to dismantle the EPA. Let me ask you guys. What you guys asked is that I answer the question. I just answer her in one sentence with a yes or no answer. Okay? You might not like the answer. That doesn't mean you have to cheer every time. Here's what the EPA has done. They've destroyed American business. The EPA has destroyed American business. Period. There's a way to have clean air and clean water. There's a way to have clean air and clean water using commonsensical principles. You don't have to do it on the backs of American companies. In fact, the most recent environmental disaster that's happened here in San Diego has been from Mexico, dumping millions of gallons of sewage into our oceans. They actually shut down Imperial Beach. Yeah, they actually shut down Imperial Beach. If that was a U.S. company, they'd be fined $10,000 a day. But because it's Mexico, none of you seem to care about it.
All right, Linda Roach. Linda Roach.
36 years of a hunter, and you haven't fixed that problem.
Joyce Finlay. Joyce
It's too hard to
Finlay.
build a fence out into the water.
No Joyce Finlay. David Richardson. David Richardson. Nope.
There's somebody.
David Richardson, thank you. I spoke with your dad a few minutes ago. I was on his immigration committee in '84, and I would like to say the pressure of following your dad and trying to bail out some of the problems that he faced, particularly in his overriding Iran-Contra relationships to the Central America program, etc. I ask you, you can be a better congressman. Your father tried, but he was limited by ideology. Central America today is a mess based on a lot of that time. I have a signed Constitution that your dad just signed for me a few minutes ago. And I say, I was born to a mother who was an illegal alien. I also, Mr. Rick Teresa, whose great-grandfather and my great-grandfather and grandfather knew in Chihuahua, Mexico. They were immigrants, they were refugees coming away from the revolution. My family, 9,000 Mormons, were refugees coming into this country. And the question here is, please, Duncan, you have a moral obligation to all the people. I believe it, I know it, I see it in your eyes. Please don't put the pressure on your son, who's the next Duncan Hunter, who's coming along.
He ain't doing this.
Please,
He's gonna get a real job.
I beg you to reconsider and work closely with the good people in this audience. We are here to help you. We want to have a good environment. Please listen. The environment in Mexico is our neighbor. It's our friend.
So I'm going to answer that. Even though it wasn't really a question, I'm going to respond to his statement. Number one, we should all be happy for one thing right now. What President Trump is doing, and I know people have a knee-jerk reaction. Right, I say President Trump and you boo, but here's what he's doing. This is for all of us. For the first time ever, we're going to put Americans first, just for a little bit. Give it 4 years. Why can't we put Americans first for once? That's what Trump is doing. We've been worrying about the rest of the world for 8 years, while our country's While our country's infrastructure has gone down, while our healthcare has gotten worse and more expensive, while education's gotten worse and more expensive, let's put ourselves first for a change. Number two, we have tried to help Mexico now for decades. And by the way, the border security issue is not just a Mexican issue. There's people coming in from China, from Pakistan, from Somalia, from Yemen, from Libya, from Afghanistan, from Iraq, from Syria, from Turkey, from a lot of places you don't want them coming in from. They're coming across the southern border there. We have given hundreds of millions of dollars to Mexico over the last few decades, trying to help them. We have military training down there from Mexico. We have law enforcement training. We give them law enforcement money. We send our police officers down there to train their police. We send our judges down there to train their judges. We send our military down there to train their military so that they can get a handle on the cartel networks that have destroyed Mexico. Okay? We are trying to help them, but they have to want to help themselves.
Emily Clay, Selena Lopes, or Elizabeth Walk, all come down if you're here.
I'm going to sit if you guys don't mind. Do you mind if I sit?
So my question is, given the recent issues involving your campaign funds being used for personal expenses, we cannot trust you to reduce spending to live within our means, the first principle listed on your federal budget and spending page of your website. Given that you're not adhering in your personal life to the views that you espouse, why would any voter, conservative, liberal, or otherwise, not be better served by voting for someone who will comply with their stated goals in the future?
So here's what happened. Last year I found out that there were mistaken charges on my campaign, and I found out from the report that we come out with every year. As soon as I saw those, I went through that. I paid back immediately $12,000, then did an internal audit on my own campaign finance. Did an internal audit. We then paid back another $50,000, and that includes everything. We paid back about 130% of what my own internal audit came out with. I did that prior to the election. I announced it prior to the election. We've been open about this whole thing. These were mistakes that were made by my campaign that I paid back immediately. Put it this way, I'm going to be the only congressman that over the last 2 years has not taken any mileage reimbursement. So here's an example for it. No, literally the only congressman in Congress with no mileage reimbursement for miles with anybody that drives for business gets, right? Because here's the reason why. I would charge my mileage on my card instead of charging it on my personal credit card. I would do it on my campaign card when I was going to campaign events, okay? Instead of doing it on my personal card and getting a receipt and sending that in, I would just do it on my campaign card, right? No, it's not $100,000. Anyway, but no, I'll tell you what too, we have a shoestring operation. I'm not like most congressmen that have giant big campaign offices with lots of people in them. That's not how we operate. What I am is a representative to you, and the campaign finance stuff, I was not watching it close enough. I have fixed it now. I have fixed it now, it's all straightened out. I paid it back, I announced it prior to the election, and I'm not going to make excuses for it, because when I make an explanation, when I start explaining it, it sounds like excuses. The buck stops here. It was my responsibility. It was my responsibility for the campaign. It was my responsibility for my family, for the charges that my kid made. That's on me. And I take responsibility for it. I fixed it. And as far as I'm concerned, end of story. Thank you.
Thank you. I work in social services with folks with disabilities, and I'm very concerned about the new replacement health bill that's coming up for vote. I feel like the most vulnerable folks in our population stand to lose big time. And I'm wondering where you stand on the bill as it is right now. Are you in favor of voting it through as it is, or will you wait for the CBO score to come out? Where are you on the bill as it is now?
Okay, so if you guys don't mind, I'll give you 5 minutes to answer this. You guys don't mind 5? It's complicated, it's healthcare. It's not 2,700 pages, ours is 123 pages. Okay, so here's what's happening with the healthcare bill. And if you've really paid attention to the news, you'll kind of get this, but it's really in the weeds, unfortunately. But let me try to explain it. Anything that, I'm in the House of Representatives, right? Anything that we pass to the Senate has to get 60 votes, 60 votes. We have 52 Republican senators right now. Okay, is that right? 52, 53? Yeah, so, 53. The point is, there's no way we can pass a bill to repeal or to replace totally, like we would like, through a process called reconciliation. Reconciliation is what we have to use with the Senate, because you will only need 51 votes to do reconciliation. When you do reconciliation, you have to do things that have a direct budget consequence. So you look at something, line A costs this much money, you can affect that through reconciliation. What you can't affect through reconciliation are things like this. Obamacare says you have to have 10 different things and insurance has to cover. That's one reason our insurance all went up, right? You have to have 10 things. None of those 10 things, we can find a per line item budget cost to it, so we can't repeal those through reconciliation. So the answer is, there is no full repeal possible through reconciliation. So the answer, my first answer is, I would like a full 100% repeal. 100%. Repeal, but then going, hey, why can't kids stay on their parents' insurance till they're 26? That's great. Why can't people with pre-existing conditions get health care without paying astronomical costs? Those things are totally fine. Things like giving Medicare to states. I think we ought to block grant Medicare to states. Let me tell you why. I find it amazing that you all want the federal government, a bunch of old white guys in D.C., to be making decisions for you. Why not have your decisions like this made in the state, where it's close to you? So, to answer your question, full repeal if it were possible. The repeal and replace bill as it stands now is okay. It does as much as we can do through the reconciliation process to repeal Obamacare and then soften what it's going to do, because Obamacare was simply a takeover of our healthcare system by the U.S. government. That's what Obamacare was. Once again, this is not a joke. Even Democrats said this is how it looks. Okay? This is what Obamacare looks like.
That's too complicated.
It's too complicated. So here's their Democrats' goal when they passed this was to make the U.S. federal government control your health care. I want to get rid of that. So the answer is, I don't know what I feel about the repeal bill that we have, or the replace bill that we have now. I'm probably going to vote for it if they change the tax credits. What I would like to do is a full replace bill, but it's not possible. It's not possible. So there's 3 things. One is the reconciliation process, where we expand HSAs, we give people that work tax credits so that their tax-free money goes into those HSAs, and that will be what you pay your premium with. Or the HSAs will be set up through tax credits. It's going to soften the blow for repealing Obamacare. The second, after we do reconciliation, thank God we have Tom Price as the Secretary of Health and Human Services. Tom Price will be able to change and take control of a lot of the things that reconciliation did not do. So he's going to make a lot of improvements to it. Here's the problem. it's not legal for him to tell us what those things are going to be because he works for the executive branch as the secretary, right? But that's the second tranche. After we pass repeal and replace, then it's in Tom Price's hand, and that's under President Trump. He will do good things. The last part of this is then we're going to pass a House bill that goes to the Senate that needs 60 votes. This is where we allow insurance to be sold across state lines. You want to watch your premiums and the cost of healthcare drop like a rock? Open it up for you to buy insurance across state lines just like you buy car insurance. You can choose the General, you can choose Geico, you can choose Wawa Nisa, you can choose whoever you want to. That's a major factor of this, but we need 60 votes in the Senate. So those are the three things we're going to do. We're going to find out what the CBO score is because we're arguing CBO is the Congressional Budget Office. And she asked if I was going to wait for the CBO score. We're arguing with the CBO score on how they're scoring this right now. Okay? I am going to wait to get that, but once again, if the repeal replace bill that we have put forward gets rid of the worst parts like the individual mandate where the federal government makes you do something, we're going to get rid of it so we can make it better, and going forward we can make it even better. Here's James Beltmire. Come up here, James. And the last thing here, just the overarching premise of this, competition works in everything that we do. Competition brings down prices, it brings up service, it brings up quality, and it brings up accessibility. If we allow the healthcare market, if we demonopolize it, we allow any insurance company to pop up, different hospitals to pop up, without a federal overarching tyranny over it, we will have less expensive insurance, less expensive health care, and things will be better. Hey, if you guys don't mind, give me... Okay, this is Dr. James Beltmire. He ran for Congress against Susan Davis on the Republican side. I'm going to give him 2 minutes. James, he's a good guy. He's an immigrant, too.
The busiest hospital in all California. Do you know on Mother's Day, Thanksgiving Day, and Christmas and New Year's, you know who's taking care of you, your family, and our community? It's me and doctors like myself. So let me ask you a question. What would you say to a young mother of 2, a 5-year-old, and a 6.5-year-old that she's been told she's dying of cancer? A young woman, know this, she's got PPO health care, highest premium, $27,000.
You guys are being really, really disrespectful. Who's going to talk for 2 minutes? Here's a guy that immigrated. Wait, I'm talking now, so you can stop chanting. He came to this country as a legal immigrant and is now a doctor and wants to talk for 2 minutes about both of those things. Is that bad? Hey, if you're not going to respect me, then we're not going to have mutual respect back and forth here.
Well, the bottom line, the gist of the problem and solution, and I'm hoping that you will extend, your wisdom and be part of the solution. The gist of the problem and the solution is that you cannot manage healthcare, you cannot manage patient, with a business. Right? I'm a doctor. I should be more accessible to you. Patients should have more access to me, to a doctor, right? Now, do you think I belong to the health insurance business? No. Ma'am, I work 80 hours a week taking care of you and the community. And I lose out and taking care of my family. All I'm saying is that the solution, all I'm saying, the solution is...
Let the man speak.
Just consider this, okay? Just consider this. Taking the government and health insurance company out of healthcare, where there's a membership, right, between individual patients and doctors. Just consider that, right? Question any health insurance where it prohibits the patient-doctor medical decision relationship. Consider that. Dr. Beltmeyer, I'm here to help you. I represent you. And honestly, I'm an American citizen just like you. No, you're wrong. Bye-bye. Thank you for your time.
Hey, thank you, James. That took some courage.
All right, Selena Lopes, is she here?
She didn't get in. She's outside watching live.
All right, how about Jeremy Brickman, or Lark Burkhart, or Lanson Moles? Those three people, come on down. No. Lanson Moles?
We have a lot of questions from people that are in here, so let's just keep going. I mean, there's people here with the whole...
Congressman, you can probably answer it in one word, happily. Will you commit to another town hall meeting at a larger, more appropriate venue during the April district?
So the question is, will I commit to a larger town hall at a more appropriate venue? I think this is a pretty rad venue, but... So the answer is yes, but not in April necessarily. We'll plan it out, but absolutely. We'll do a larger town hall at a where? Yeah, we'll post it. Everybody will know. It'll be great again. I have no idea, but we'll do it.
You have to wait until October or Christmas.
No, probably not.
Get
No.
it this spring. I'm asking for a commitment.
So no, I'm not going to give a commitment on my timing. I couldn't tell you what I'm doing tomorrow.
No wonder you're such a confused representative.
But the answer is yes. We'll be doing this again. I hope to see a lot of you there.
Congressman, I'm Lanson Moles. How will you assure access to health care for citizens too poor to benefit from tax credits and after Medicaid expansion expires in 2 years?
Once again, once you take the federal government mandates, once you get rid of this, healthcare gets way less expensive, and insurance will be less. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to give money to the states on a per capita basis and your state will determine how they want to take care of the people that fall through the safety nets, right? The people that are the most sick, maybe the more elderly, the lower earning wage folks. That's what the state is there to do that. We're going to give them block grants because, once again, you don't want the federal government saying, here's the health care you have to have and here's what we're going to give you. Your state is much more responsive than your federal government is. Your local county is much more responsive than the state is. And your city is much more responsive than the county is. Because you have direct interaction with these folks. The key is to bring it down to the lowest level possible, like education, to where you can make changes at the low levels, not wait for a giant 3,000-page bill in DC. So that's the key to this. And once again, I'm not going to bypass this. We're not guaranteeing health care for everyone. We're guaranteeing access to health care for everyone.
Jeremy Brockman.
And by the way, just so you all know, in Medicaid, California ranks, I forget the number, but it's around 48 or 49 out of 50 states in the amount that they match for Medicare. That's California. That's a state issue. Other states pay a lot more, and doctors accept Medicare and Medicaid a lot easier in other states. California doesn't do it. That's a state problem. They ought to step up and say, hey, we're going to match more. That's a state issue.
Gloria Chadwick or Richard Niles?
The question I wanted to ask is what veterans' health care is available for our veterans who do not qualify for VA benefits? And you know the ones I'm talking about. We were talking about the ones who, for whatever reason, they were separated from the military, but they did honorably serve the service. And then I have to say another thing, that I am one of your constituents. I am a registered nurse, worked for the VA. I'm also elected director for the Rosemont Healthcare District, which is a large hospital, covers 750 square miles. We see a lot of patients, and they go through the district. I went to the inauguration to support the president that was elected, duly elected. I participated in the Women's March. And when I came back, I read that article. And I have to tell you, as my representative, I am just startled by the corrupt nature of it, this dishonorable conduct. And you do not deserve to represent us. And I'm here to tell you that because of your corruption, I'm going to run against you in 2018.
Okay. So, to answer your questions, number one, anybody that has a service-connected disability will, number one, get a check from the VA. And number two is guaranteed to get health care from the VA if they have a service-connected disability. Okay, that doesn't mean even that they're separated. Take anybody in here that went to jump school or was in Vietnam, Iraq, Afghanistan, hurt their knees jumping. That didn't stop them from serving. So they did 20 years or 30 years or even 10 years, whatever. They can go back to the VA and say, hey, I hurt my knees at jump school. I have arthritis now, or I need to have knee surgery. The VA will fix that. That's a service-connected disability for people that didn't get separated because of their injury. So anybody that has a service-connected disability can get care from the VA. So our question is if you don't have a service-connected disability, what does the VA do for you? So when the American Legion comes out to DC, which they just did about 2 weeks ago, and the VFW came out to DC, which they did a few weeks ago, we get into a little scuffle over this. If you had the honor of serving your nation, and you went to war or did not go to war, but you didn't get any service-connected disability. But 30 years later, you're 60, 70 years old, or you're 40 years old, my age, and your back hurts or something is wrong with you, I don't think that that's on the American taxpayer to provide for your health care at that point, because it's not a service-connected disability. It's you served, and then 20 or 30 years later, and especially as people get older, they have more needs for care. I don't think that's on the taxpayer to say, hey, we're gonna pay for that, even though it was not service-connected. It was just part of life. So that's my answer on that. And I'll tell you that me and some of the veteran service organizations who fight for everything that they can for veterans, as they should, we disagree on that point a little bit. Number two, on the VA, let me just talk to the VA for a second. I was disappointed on Trump's appointee in the VA. What Trump did with the VA is basically hire somebody from within, who was part of the problem in the first place. Here's how you fix the VA. You get rid of it as it exists today. You get rid of it, and here's what you do. You make the VA focus on young men and women, or older ones, with PTSD, with traumatic brain injury, with burn wounds, with missing limbs, with bullet wounds, with parts of their faces blown off, parts of their body blown off. That's what the VA should specialize in. For anybody else, here's a card, go wherever you want to. Go to Grossmont, go to Sharp, go to Scripps, go to Cedars-Sinai. It's on us, it's on the taxpayer. Go to wherever you need. And by the way, that will save billions of dollars by letting people choose, letting veterans choose to go wherever they want to. If they choose to go to the VA still, if they choose to go to Balboa, that's fine too. A lot of folks that are in the system, once they're in, like it, especially because it's close and we're here in San Diego. But if you're not in San Diego, folks, if you live in Minnesota or Wyoming, you may or may not be next to a good VA hospital. In that case, here's a card, go wherever you want to. And let the VA focus on the men and women that have combat wounds, because they're the ones that are being let down over the last 8 years.
Congressman, this is Richard Niles.
I'd like to first thank you for doing this event today, and thank you for your service. I just have one comment about the 10 triggers that you mentioned in the ACA. Pregnancy is one of those triggers, and before the ACA that was not covered. My brother had to make the hard choice of having an abortion or paying $40,000 for a baby. Thankfully, he paid $40,000 and he was well off to do that. I'm afraid that not having that controlled and balanced can lead to that. I know you're strongly against that, but that's not my question today. My question is about your ethics violations that you've admitted to. So my concern is that you referenced that you paid for the gas on your credit card. You failed to mention that your wife earns a six-figure salary in your organization.
Negative. No, she doesn't. She was my campaign manager. By the way, that's how I met her. She was managing a campaign.
So she's being paid. She's being paid.
She's not being paid now. No, she's not being paid now. But she was, and she was getting $3,000 a month.
Okay.
That's not six figure. But please go ahead.
Okay. I'd have to fact check that. I appreciate you correcting me. My question is, why do you feel that it was acceptable for you to vote to close the ethics down or to reduce the ethics ability to investigate these things as your first
Okay, so the question, and here's what he's referring to. In December, we make the rules for the Republican Congress. All the Republicans that won, and Democrats do the same thing for their conference. On the Republican side, you have this group called the OCE. It's Office of Congressional Ethics. It is pretty much number one, it was created by Nancy Pelosi. That should tell you all you need to know. No, truly. It was created by Nancy Pelosi. Number two, it is a fairly liberal group that puts things way out of perspective. No, truly. So the OCE stuff on me that they were feeding the Union Tribune, which is owned by the LA Times, I don't think the way that they go about business is a good way to go about business. We have a Congressional Ethics Committee made up of Democrats and Republicans. No, really, in Congress, there's an actual committee called the Ethics Committee made up of Democrats and Republicans, and they have staff. They go through this stuff all the time. You shouldn't have a Nancy Pelosi group be able to air grievances on just one side without it having looked at objectively by the guys that are actually elected to do this in Congress. That's why. And by the way, this never even came to a vote. It was not. It was the head of the chairman of the Judiciary Committee, Bob Goodlatte, brought this up, and he chairs the Judiciary Committee. He's the one that brought this up, and Paul Ryan said, "Yeah, there's a problem. Let's work this out. Give us 4 months to kind of fix this, so you don't have a Nancy Pelosi group throwing people under the bus for no reason." That's what it was.
You feel that it was still acceptable for you to weigh in on that topic then?
There was no vote. There was no vote on this. My point is, Paul Ryan.
You put the motion forward though.
No, I didn't put the motion forward. Bob Goodlatte. But anyway, there was no vote on it. But Paul Ryan said, "Yeah, there's a problem." The Republican leadership said, "Yeah, there's a problem." All the Republicans said, "Yeah, there's a problem. We're going to fix it," and we are going to fix it. In fact, we're going to hold Paul Ryan accountable to actually fix this, because this is one of the ways that the media and the liberal press goes after Trump and other Republicans. It is. You guys are right. Yeah, the media is perfect.
Lynette Williams, Bethany Amborn, and Jim Fontana.
We love you, Duncan.
Yeah. This is Bethany.
Hi, Bethany.
Hi. I'm one of your constituents. I live in El Cajon. Okay, closer. As we find out more about the new health care, the details are coming out that it is less affordable and way less accessible. There's a lot of people that are going to lose their health care. So I just want to know how you're going to support the people in your district, your constituents, who are dramatically affected by this. 'Cause then they're often the most vulnerable. So specifically, I'd like you to speak to the age-based tax credits instead of the way that the ACA is structured now, and how you plan to address that when your constituents will be affected.
Okay, thank you. Number one, Obamacare is falling apart. It has raised insurance costs for everybody. It's funny. You have businesses from Fallbrook, Temecula to El Cajon, Santee, Lakeside, here in Ramona, that have had to let people go or put them as part-time because of Obamacare. Obamacare has put people out of work so that they couldn't pay for insurance in the first place if they wanted to. Here's the key. Grow the economy, put more money into your pockets, and make competition, make health insurance like everything else in this country, where the accessibility goes up, the quality goes up, and you're able to pay for it because you have a job, because Donald Trump fixed this economy. That's what we need. And her last question was on the age-based tax credits. I'm still looking at it. Okay, I mean, once again, I support a full repeal, going back to the way where healthcare was free and up to us and our doctors, and then fixing that and tweaking it. And by the way, it's kind of funny. I got elected in 2008 with Obama. This is nothing that I have not said in this room every year, over and over, since I got into office. I've been saying the exact same thing. There's nothing new here. You guys act like I became a conservative Republican yesterday. Hey, Lynette.
You really answered my question already, Duncan. It was about health care. My son moved to Arizona because he could afford to live there. They cannot afford Obamacare because their premiums doubled and their deductible was sky high. They do not have insurance under Obamacare. That's why I'm hoping you do full repeal. Full repeal. Obamacare is socialized medicine, like in Canada. The Canadians come to America if they have enough money to get their health care in America, because socialized medicine doesn't work there. What do you think about that?
Sounds good to me. I'll tell you, health insurance in Arizona didn't just double. It went up 145%. Yeah, and I'm sure you've all heard this too. One-third of all counties in the country have only one insurance provider. California insurance companies have a monopoly put together by the liberal government in this state where they get to choose what they charge you for insurance. And if you don't think that the hospitals and the insurance companies are in collusion to get as much money as possible, then you're wrong. It's demonopolized. We're not saying don't come here. We're saying if you're a failed state, you don't get to just walk in. If you have no background information from your state, if you have no medical records, if you have no criminal records, if you can't tell us if somebody's good or bad, we're not going to take them. And we're going to take 90 days or maybe 60 days now and figure out how we stop terrorists from coming into our country. Right? So here's what you do in the Middle East. Here's what I think that you do. Here's what I think you do in the Middle East. And I actually have a thing called the Hunter Doctrine, if you want to look at this. And I think Trump copied it. It's called you kick ass and you leave. Really. Because I went to war, and by the way, when I got up here, I didn't introduce myself. I did 3 tours, Iraq in 03, Iraq in 04, Afghanistan in 07. I just didn't go through the introduction thing of myself when I got up here. I have been there. I have now seen how you can't help people that don't want to help themselves. How you can't help people that don't share the same, and I'm going to say Christian values, Judeo-Christian values that we have in this country. Let me explain what I mean by that, and you'll stop disagreeing. At its very base, the values that we share as Americans is the value of life. Life matters, right? Life matters. No matter where you're from, no matter what color you are, life matters. Radical Islamists do not believe that life matters. They will kill themselves. They will kill their women. They will blow themselves up. They will have their kids go in with bombs strapped on them and blow themselves up. They do not respect or value life. You cannot help people and say, hey, be like America, when they don't even understand the very basic premise of valuing human life. So here's what we do. If you want to be a terrorist country, if you want to try to send foreign fighters here or to our allies, we're going to find you and we're going to kill you. And we're going to put you in Guantanamo. If you want to be friends with us, if you want to be friends with the United States, man, we will bend over backwards to figure out how to put jobs over there, how to work with you, to have people come over here. We will work with you if you share the values that we share. But why let... Number one, we're not going to let people into our country anymore that don't share the basic human premise of life matters. Number one. Number two, I have seen firsthand the only way to stop radical Islam is not to build them mosques, it's not to build them schools, it's not to build them dams that they don't appreciate anyway. You have to get rid of the bad guys. That's the way to do it. That's what Trump's going to do.
Vivian Del Signore, Mary Ames, or Hank Krause.
By the way, while we're waiting for that, I put forward a letter and a bill that says if you're an Iraqi or an Afghan that helped us, that helped our military, let me tell you what Obama's done for eight years. If you serve with the U.S. military, let me tell you what he's done. If you serve with the U.S. military, you want to say those names again? Back and forth here, right? Okay, so here's what's happened for 8 years. The men and women that have helped us as translators and that show our guys on the ground how the culture works and where to go and where the bad guys are, Obama put them in the back of the line for immigration. No, truly. I'm telling you, that's how it's worked. Syrian refugees who are not vetted have come over before Iraqis that served in the U.S. Army basically for years. I'm just telling you how it is. You can boo. You're booing Obama right now. That's okay. You want to boo Obama. So here's what I support. Putting the men and women that served with us, that were on the front lines with us, helping us, putting them in the front of the line, saying you've already proven yourselves. Their families are under threat by radical Islamists every day. They're under threat by radical Islamists. Put those men and women up front because they've earned it.
Jennifer Schultz or Jan Johnson? Gary Jones? Gary Jones? Daryl Beck?
Thank you, Duncan, for coming up today. The question that I have is because the president's been given so much trouble on the incoming refugees and so forth, I'd like to have you comment on the possibility of making a permanent immigration ban and vetting on all foreign nations. Just as many as our ancestors, many of our ancestors were required to do so at Ellis Island. As you know, the people that came into Ellis Island had to be vetted, sent to hospitals if they were sick, sent back to their countries if they were ill. So I'd like to see if there's a possibility of maybe just making a blanket situation like we did back 100 years ago.
Thank you for your question. Hey, here's why that's not far-fetched. Let me tell you. The way that France and Germany and a lot of other European countries that we have visa waiver programs with, meaning they basically automatically get to come here to the U.S. It was fair trade back and forth. We can travel over there without super vetting somebody, without them vetting us, and they can travel here without us vetting them. Except when they open their doors to millions of radical Islamists without any vetting whatsoever. The reason his question... The reason his question is valid is because now, even if you're in Germany, I hear you, thank you. Even if you're from Germany now, we can't guarantee that the German government vetted you. We can't tell if you're now a radical Islamist in France that drove that van and killed dozens of people, 80-something people. We can't tell anymore. So why not put a vetting system in that's fairly easy for these other countries, because from Europe and other nations that actually have governments, unlike the 6 nations that we have the travel ban on, if you have a government, you can vet the people that want to come here. Why not do that? Why not make America as safe as we possibly can? What's wrong with waiting 10 days? The idea, and President Trump said it best in his address to Congress, he said something to the effect of, I don't represent the world, I represent America. Right? And there's nothing wrong with putting Americans first for a change. That's change that I can believe in.
Jeremy Brown, Sue Briggs, or Gina Seashore?
Room's too small.
Jennifer Brown. Glenn Genser, Glenn Genser. Glenn? Janice Shatman. Janice Shatman. Don Ramey. Donald Ramey.
We're outside. Let them in next time.
Michelle McCaffrey. Michelle McCaffrey. Dante Cosentino. Dante Cosentino. Okay. Dante.
Oh, okay. Well, first of all, okay, I've been a resident here for 41 years. And obviously, one of your constituents. But anyway, I want to ask you about health care. You mentioned that we have access under this bill, access to health care. The question is, what about guaranteed health? We have access, I may have access to, let's say, first class seat on the airplane. But if I can't afford it, it doesn't make a bit of difference, right?
So the answer is, the reason that we're, once again, the reason you have tax credits, the reason that we're doing the repeal and replace it with it, we're doing it, we know it's going to disrupt the market. I don't believe in guaranteed health care. I believe in guaranteed access to health care that anybody can afford. And if you're not able to afford it, and you're very sick, right? We're not putting the lifetime caps back on. We're keeping that off. But if you're not able to afford it, we're going to be giving hundreds of millions of dollars to the states. Okay? Some in this room will probably call that an entitlement or a subsidy. But we're going to do it, and we're going to do it mainly for the first couple of years after we repeal Obamacare to lessen the impact on people that will not be able to have access, right? And in the end, remember, so what you had a free healthcare system where we could all afford, for the most part, our insurance, and those that couldn't afford it were taken care of. That went to a totally government-ran system. Once you take this away, once you take all of this away, you will have free market competition. If you demonopolize the insurance companies in the state and you decouple them from the hospital so that they can't collude on your pricing, and you're able to go to James and say, hey doctor, here's my problem, and he goes with you directly. It's a patient-doctor relationship. If you take government out of it, it will be less expensive. It will be affordable, and you'll have competition. So guaranteed access is different than guaranteed health care, but we're not guaranteed anything by nature of, I don't believe in it.
Germany, for example, has it for everyone. So does England. So does France. And look at their cost. The cost is less than ours.
The health care in France and England and other countries that have single payer is horrible. It is not good. And if you guys want to wait 2 years to get a discectomy or something, because it's government run. My job, overarchingly, and there's very few exceptions except for national security and border security, is to get the federal government out of our lives. That's why I'm in office. I'll tell you one last, we haven't talked about the Second Amendment. I can guarantee you, those of you that care about the Second Amendment here, your right to be completely and totally protected for 4 years, and they have been for the last 6 years. Republicans in Congress have not done anything to prohibit or take away or lessen the Second Amendment, even though the administration tried to do it.
About Rosalind Morales, Jenny Rodriguez, or April Ortiz?
Free health care is not free. Somebody pays for everything.
That's what I should have said.
This is April.
By the way, people are asking, I'll answer. I got put on Obamacare immediately in December of the year it passed, out of DC, as did my San Diego office. So we're actually not even under covered California. We're in one of the smallest, worst Obamacare networks in the country. My premiums are thousands of dollars. So it's like my deductible's $5,000. My premiums are over $1,000 a month. Mine doubled. My health care doubled. We had Blue Cross Blue Shield. I have 3 kids, 10, 13, and 16. My health care was expensive, but it doubled. And by the way, I've been in Obamacare since 2010, I think, 2011. It's actually too bad that my staff, I don't care if I get punished for being a representative, but my staff actually should not have to go through a DC network that lives here in Ramona. That's pretty stupid.
Okay, my name is April Ortiz. I'm a constituent. I live in Escondido. My name is April Ortiz. I'm one of your constituents. I live in Escondido. Thank you. I, like you and every other patriotic American here, I was outraged to learn the official findings of our own intelligence community, which stated the Russians interfered with our election in favor of one candidate over another. And that candidate is now president. Will you vote for an independent investigation to root out all aspects of their interference wherever it may lead?
So here's what we know. The Russians hacked the Democrat National Committee server and outed a bunch of emails from Hillary Clinton and her campaign manager, okay? They didn't hack the voting booths. They didn't come in with a gun to anybody's head and say you have to vote this way. There are 4 congressional investigations going on right now into the Russians, okay? If one comes to the Armed Services Committee, because we might take our own hack at it on the military side of things, and I'm asked to be involved in that, absolutely. We ought to investigate, because the Russians haven't, this is not an issue, I don't think that they affected the election, but here's what they do. Hey, I'm sorry Trump won again, I'm sorry. But here's what the Russians do. The Russians do hack us all the time. The Russians hack U.S. government, they hack U.S. military institutions, they hack all the guys that make our stuff, Boeing, Northrop Grumman, NASCO, all the companies that do defense stuff, the Russians do hack. So yes, absolutely, let's look into that. What I'm not going to go and vote for is a witch hunt by the Department of Justice or the FBI or the intelligence communities that have been infiltrated with seditious Obama folks that want to go after this president. I'm not going to do it. And you guys have heard this, you guys have heard the term deep state. You guys have heard the term deep state? You have tens of thousands of Obama, not tens of thousands of Obama appointees, thousands of Obama appointees, and people that worked under that administration who hate Donald Trump as much as you do. They're trying to take him down from the inside. There is right now, in my view, I think that Donald Trump did have his phone conversations and emails intercepted. And those of you that believe in democracy and free elections, that tell me that a sitting president whose party is running for the presidency can wiretap and intercept another candidate's phone, I would think that you would be for freedom and liberty, not for an Orwellian government that controls us, which is what we have right now.
All right, listen up. Victoria Wright, Jennifer Sinclair, or David Finlay?
Hey, so here's what's pretty funny. Trump used the term, really quick, Trump used the term wiretap. When Trump tweeted out wiretap, well, guess what? We haven't wiretapped since we've had cell phones. So the intelligence community and the FBI and the DOJ could actually say, we have never wiretapped Trump's phone. Here's what they call it. No, I'm being serious. Here's what they call it now. They call it intercepting. If Trump would have tweeted out, my phone calls and my information has been intercepted, they would not be able to deny it. Remember, these are all lawyers. Are you telling me you guys love lawyers too?
All right, listen up. Daniel Brashears.
Hey, Dan, and actually, we're just doing one more question. It's almost been an hour and a half.
Okay.
Time flies.
Daniel Brashears. Is she here? Okay, last question, folks.
All right. So, will you support the rights and safety of refugees? Do you support, will you condemn the executive order, ever?
So the answer to the first question is if the president, if the former president already let you in as a refugee, we need to do everything we can to vet the people that are already here. Well, let me change that. Extreme vet the people that are already here.
They already have been.
Okay? And if they're found to be fine, we've already made a promise that as refugees, you're already here. We're not going to send those guys back. I mean, they came over here under President Obama. If we can prove that they share American values, then sure, stay. Number two, when I go against the executive order, no, I full-heartedly support Trump's executive order, 100%. And I think Congress should follow up and put it into law. Don't just have an executive order that can be overwritten by the next president. Put it into law so it cannot be changed without a 60-vote majority in the Senate. Once again, why don't you want to be safer?
Will you condemn the bomb threats against Jewish American community centers?
Yeah, I condemn a few things. I condemn the bomb threats against any organization or church or religious or anybody here in the U.S. I condemn the death threats against me too. I condemn the death threats against everybody.
Then will you also condemn the views expressed by Breitbart News and also Steve Bannon? No? For encouraging anti-Semitic ideas and...
I don't think Steve Bannon pursued anti-Semitic ideas.
For encouraging genocidal ideas to become rampant in the news?
I don't think he expresses genocidal ideas either.
Nice to see where you stand.
Thank you. Hey guys, lastly, so we're going to close now. It only went an hour and a half. Next time we'll do it much, much bigger. We get thousands and thousands of people in. I don't know if you can tell this. I enjoy this. I know you're yelling at me, but I'm telling you what I'm thinking. But let me just close, if you don't mind. Let me just close. What makes this great? What makes this great is that we're able to talk and yell, or talk and yell and chant. But that's what makes our country great. And I love being able to do this and come and talk to you, whether you agree with me or not, to tell you where I stand. Hopefully you leave here at least knowing that you're either really against me, you're really for me, you like some of the stuff, you don't like some of the stuff, but I'm here to represent you. Whether or not you voted for me, I'm still representing you. With that, hey, thank you. To everybody that came out, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
So many
But you know,